flashlight than a shovel. The cemetery wasn't the ideal place to run if you wanted to keep breathing, but unless one of the neighbors decided to fling open their doors and offer Kevin a hiding spot with a space heater, it would have to do. The old cemetery, with its ornate mausoleums and half-filled granite crypts, was a little too upscale for the neighborhood residents who usually ended up planning funerals a generation before any mother should have to think like that. Most of the people buried at Woodland had gone to ground in recent years, their lives ending on nearby Springfield Avenue, one of Newark's main drug corridors. Anyone in Woodland at that time of night was at risk of becoming a permanent resident, likely to get carried out in an ambulance, leaving their grieving family to wonder how the hell they're going to afford to bring them back in a hearse. Kevin's mother wouldn't have to stress that. She'd smoked away any responsibility to him, living or dead, before those freshman track practices. Dad, though, he didn't want to think about that. Kevin had to at least make it to his 21st birthday, let his father live out the fantasy of buying that first legal beer, even though they both knew he'd started sneaking them years ago. He ducked behind a stone structure with a tiny angel sitting on top, a naked baby dancing to an unheard song. Kevin never understood why people put those angels anywhere near headstones. They were just dead kids with wings. Kevin hunched over, bending his knees, trying to shake the fire out of his chest. His heart rate fell slightly from jackhammer to bass drum as he tried to figure out who was chasing him and why. He thought about the last time he was in court, his last pickup from Levon and the one before, the officer with the zigzag scar, the video on his cell phone. He leaned back against the stone, breath returning to normal, nothing but darkness between him and where he'd run from. He was safe, until he turned his head the other way, found the shadow peering out from the stone condo full of dead people to the right. An arm came up, a familiar shape where a hand should have been. He didn't run. He didn't resist. It didn't matter. Chapter 1. "And you're sure this'll work?" "No." "Of course it will," I said, peering through the dirt specks on the windshield of my never-quite-clean Olds Cutlass, scanning the sidewalk outside the Newark Police Department's 3rd Precinct for the guy Officer Scannell was so worried about. "This just seems a little out there," Scannell said, rapping his fingers incessantly against my dashboard. "What happens if he says no?" "Well then, Officer Scannell, you'd be fucked." "He won't say no," I replied, watching someone round the corner leading up to the precinct's limestone steps, pretty sure it wasn't the guy we were looking for. But I couldn't be entirely certain because Scannell's nerve-addled stammer was distracting me and making me wish I'd never quit smoking. "How the hell can you be sure?" he asked. I couldn't. "I am," I said, tongue far out ahead of my brain, as usual. "God damn it, man, this is my career on the line. My ass," Scannell said, like I didn't already know that. "I could use a little explanation." The whining was driving me nuts. Scannell was a big enough guy, probably went 230, 6 foot plus. I'd heard him speak before, years earlier, when we'd both been in the same room, but he had no reason to notice. He was a natural baritone, the kind of guy who used profanity in place of cleverness to make it seem like he had something to say. Scannell's voice was bred tough until a boot got anywhere near his throat. Then it turned into a mix of helium and worry. A little kid with a bad report card. I gritted my teeth, thought about a smoke, and gritted more. 47 days without a cancer stick. In 47 days, I'd run at least 20 miles, saved nearly $500, and managed to look slightly less than spastic in a pickup basketball game. Scannell wasn't sending me back to zero. But I needed something in place of a nicotine buzz. Berating my client seemed like the next best thing. "You're not exactly in a position to ask questions," I said. "I hired you, didn't I?" he asked. "Yeah."